For millions of Americans, Social Security is not a bonus, not extra income, and not optional. It is the foundation that daily life is built on. Rent, groceries, medications, utilities, all of it depends on a system that is designed to keep pace with reality. And as 2026 approaches, that system is undergoing a series of important changes that will directly affect retirees, disabled workers, and low-income beneficiaries across the country. At the center of these changes is a new cost of living adjustment. Inflation may not dominate headlines the way it once did, but prices have not returned to what they were years ago. Everyday expenses remain higher, especially for seniors and people living on fixed incomes. In response, Social Security benefits are being adjusted upward by 2.8% starting in January 2026. This adjustment applies broadly, impacting retirement benefits, disability payments, survivor benefits, and supplemental Social Security income. For the average retired worker, this increase translates into a noticeable difference. Monthly payments that previously hovered just above $2,000 are moving higher, adding roughly $50 to $60 extra each month. While that amount may not sound dramatic on its own, over the course of a year, it becomes meaningful, especially for households where every dollar is already assigned a purpose. It can cover prescription copays, utility bills, or part of a grocery budget that has steadily grown more expensive. Disability beneficiaries are included in this adjustment as well. Individuals receiving Social Security disability insurance will see their payments rise in line with the same percentage increase. For many disabled Americans, these payments are their primary or only source of income, making even modest increases essential for maintaining stability and independence. Supplemental Social Security recipients are also affected. SSI, which supports elderly and disabled individuals with very limited income and resources, is seeing its federal payment levels increase. Individuals will receive higher monthly maximums, and couples receiving SSI together will also see an increase. These adjustments help ensure that the most financially vulnerable beneficiaries are not left behind as living costs continue to rise. What makes these updates especially significant is the sheer number of people involved. Tens of millions of Americans rely on Social Security in one form or another. These are retirees who spent decades working, disabled individuals who can no longer work consistently, surviving spouses, and low-income seniors with few alternatives. For all of them, the reliability of Social Security and its ability to adapt to economic conditions is critical. The way these adjustments are calculated is rooted in economic data that tracks how prices change over time. When the cost of essential goods and services rises, benefits are adjusted so that purchasing power does not steadily erode. This mechanism is one of the defining features of the Social Security system, and it plays a central role in protecting beneficiaries from long-term inflation. There is also a wide range in how benefits look depending on when someone claims them. Individuals who waited until full retirement age or even delayed benefits until age 70 can receive significantly higher monthly payments than the average beneficiary. In 2026, the maximum possible retirement benefit increases again, reflecting both the new adjustment and the structure of delayed retirement credits. While most people do not receive the maximum, its growth highlights how timing and lifetime earnings shape outcomes within the system. But for everyday beneficiaries, Social Security is less about strategy and more about survival. These updates are not abstract policy decisions, they are monthly realities. They determine whether bills get paid on time, whether savings are stretched thinner, and whether financial stress eases or intensifies. As 2026 begins, these changes collectively reinforce the role Social Security plays in American life. It is not frozen in time. It moves, adjusts, and responds to economic pressure. And for millions of people who depend on it every single month, that responsiveness is not just reassuring, it is necessary.
Beyond the headline numbers, the 2026 Social Security changes begin to reshape how payments actually function in day-to-day life, and this is where many beneficiaries feel the impact most clearly. Payment schedules remain consistent, but the higher benefit amounts mean that monthly deposits now arrive with greater weight, especially for households balancing fixed income against rising obligations. For retirees and disabled workers alike, these payments are often carefully timed around rent due dates, medical refills, insurance premiums, and utility cycles. A higher monthly amount doesn't simply add comfort, it reduces fragility, lowering the risk that a single unexpected expense can destabilize an entire month. At the same time, adjustments to taxable earnings limits quietly affect working Americans who are still paying into the system. In 2026, higher income thresholds mean that workers contribute Social Security taxes on a larger portion of their earnings. While this change is less visible than a benefit increase, it plays a crucial role in strengthening the program's long-term funding. For higher earners, this results in slightly larger payroll deductions, but it also increases the future benefits tied to those earnings. For younger workers, this shift reinforces the idea that today's contributions are directly linked to tomorrow's security. Another important factor beneficiaries are noticing in 2026 is how Social Security interacts with other costs, particularly health care. Medicare premiums continue to be deducted directly from many Social Security checks, and while benefit increases help offset these deductions, the net gain varies from person to person. Some beneficiaries see most of their increase absorbed by rising healthcare costs, while others retain a larger portion of the adjustment. This uneven impact highlights why even modest benefit increases matter. Without them, many recipients would experience an effective cut in usable income. For those receiving supplemental security income, the changes have additional implications. SSI eligibility and payment amounts are tightly tied to income and resource limits. As payment levels rise, some recipients find a bit more breathing room, while others must remain vigilant to avoid exceeding eligibility thresholds. The balance is delicate. SSI is designed to provide support without discouraging limited supplemental income, but even small changes in wages, gifts, or housing arrangements can affect monthly benefits. In 2026, the higher federal payment standards slightly ease this tension, though careful reporting remains essential. There is also a psychological shift that comes with these updates. For many beneficiaries, Social Security represents predictability in an unpredictable world. Knowing that benefits adjust with economic conditions reinforces trust in the system. It sends a message that inflation is being acknowledged, not ignored. This reassurance matters, especially for older Americans and disabled individuals who have limited capacity to adapt their income through work. Taken together, these changes deepen Social Security's role as more than just a retirement program. It functions as income insurance, disability protection, and a safety net for the most vulnerable. In 2026, the adjustments extend beyond percentages and dollar amounts. They influence behavior, planning, and peace of mind. They shape how beneficiaries budget, how long workers choose to remain employed, and how families support aging or disabled relatives. By the time these updates fully settle into everyday life, they become part of the quiet background structure that keeps millions of households afloat. The system does not eliminate financial challenges, but it softens them. And in a world where stability is increasingly hard to find, that quiet support continues to matter more than ever.
As 2026 progresses, the long-term implications of these Social Security changes become clearer, not just for current beneficiaries, but for the future of the system itself. The adjustments made this year reflect a balancing act, protecting today's recipients while reinforcing the financial framework that will support future generations. This balance is critical because Social Security is not a short-term program. It is a multi-generational commitment that depends on careful calibration rather than sudden shifts. One of the most significant long-term effects is how these updates influence claiming decisions. With higher benefit levels and a growing gap between early and delayed claiming amounts, many workers are rethinking when to start their benefits.
Those who can afford to wait are increasingly aware that delaying retirement results in a permanently higher monthly check. In 2026, this difference is more visible than ever, prompting conversations around financial planning, health expectations, and longevity that did not exist at the same scale in previous decades. At the same time, the program's structure continues to reinforce work incentives for people who are able to remain employed. Higher taxable earnings caps and adjusted benefit formulas mean that additional years of work still translate into tangible increases in future payments. For older workers who remain in the labor force, Social Security in 2026 is less of a finish line and more of a flexible support system, one that adapts to individual circumstances rather than forcing a single path. For beneficiaries already receiving payments, the 2026 changes also affect how Social Security fits into broader household planning. Increased benefits can slightly reduce reliance on savings, delay withdrawals from retirement accounts, or lessen dependence on family members. For disabled individuals and low-income seniors, even small increases can improve housing stability and access to basic necessities. These outcomes may not appear dramatic on paper, but over time they accumulate into meaningful improvements in quality of life. There is also a wider economic ripple effect. When tens of millions of people receive higher monthly payments, those dollars circulate back into local economies. Rent, groceries, transportation, healthcare, and services all benefit from the steady flow of Social Security income. In many communities, particularly rural areas and small towns, these payments form an economic backbone, supporting local businesses and sustaining jobs. In 2026, that stabilizing influence remains as important as ever. Perhaps the most enduring impact, however, is the signal these changes send about the role of Social Security in American society. The program continues to evolve in response to economic pressure rather than remaining static. That evolution reinforces its relevance, especially at a time when financial uncertainty has become a defining feature of modern life. Social Security does not solve every challenge, but it provides a baseline of security that millions depend on. By the end of 2026, these updates will no longer feel new. They will simply be part of how the system works, quietly adjusting, supporting, and sustaining. For those who rely on Social Security, that quiet reliability is its greatest strength. It is not just a program of numbers and formulas, but a promise that adapts with time, carrying millions of Americans forward with a measure of stability in an uncertain world.